Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. And it's nice to see so many familiar faces. And I love that we have got some role models here who have been through this process before to sort of share their journeys with us tonight as well. But we're going to start with a little video. And I'm going to get Carly to, anyone that knows me knows that technology, I always fail at this part here.
I believe in crowdfunding because I went through the process.
What I wanted was the exposure, credibility.
We really used it essentially to launch our business.
And then it opened up this world in ATB of mentors and advisors and strategists.
And what happened was this incredible community support came up. By day 2, we were on like the front page of the newspaper, which was unexpected for us.
Crowdfunding is great for any business because it kind of gives you a chance to pick the brain of the public.
It gave me just that push to stand up in front of a crowd, to talk about my business, to ask people money, to ask them to buy my product.
Crowdfunding is an incredible tool. I think it opens the doors to multiple entrepreneurs to come to the table. We all have different skills and abilities, and maybe you're not the loudest person there. You can have a great product and put it on the platform and see how the crowd responds. So it really breaks down all of these barriers that sometimes people have for entrepreneurship, and it gives them a really easy tool.
This Build Her business program is really exciting. I'm glad that ATB is focusing on women entrepreneurs.
I think Build Her Business is a great opportunity. I mean, imagine sitting in front of these great female entrepreneurs who have been very successful and getting great feedback from them.
Build Her Business is an incredible opportunity to not only launch your business, but be a part of a community of women that are go-getters. There's so many women out there with such incredible ideas that have not ever been given the opportunity. And you can build community and be a part of something that is way bigger than yourself.
Thank you. We've got Hannah here somewhere in the crowd. You're going to meet Hannah a little bit later. Well, hi, Calgary. We had the pleasure of being in Lethbridge last night and doing this presentation there as well. And it was, what I love about these presentations is we go around the province and the questions are always really similar. The conversations are really the same. But I think that there's just an incredible energy that comes when we come together as women. We talk about some of the business challenges that we have and look at other ways of starting and growing our businesses. And I just wanted to start off by asking, if I were to say, what percentage of majority women-led companies do you think represent all small and medium-sized companies across Canada? Give me some numbers. What do you think it might be?
10%.
What'd you say? 10, 50, 94?
I'd say 30.
30? 60? So we're all over the map. We don't really know where we are in this ecosystem. The reality is that in Canada, 16% of majority women-led companies, 16, are owned by women. And what's crazy is that in Alberta, we're actually leading that charge. So when we take a look back and say, well, why is that? You know, we know that there's talent. We know that there's ambition here. We start to say, okay, well, there's something that's stopping this process, and what is it? We know that women face different barriers in business than men do. You ask any female entrepreneur, she'll say the first barrier that she's come across is unconscious bias, access to capital, access to role models, and even access to information. And when you think about it at a higher level, women haven't always been in business. So we're this is a new generation that has just kind of come through their full careers into retirement, and now this is sort of a newer generation that's following. So we really haven't been in the business space for that long. So this is why events like this, and when we start coming together to say, where are some of the barriers, that these questions and these conversations are really important, because the market today no longer looks like what the market did 100, 50, 25 years ago. So there's a ton of talent in Alberta, and the other thing about my job and what I love is I get to talk to women across the province. And one of the things that I have learned is that there is no true definition of entrepreneur. For some women, it's I'm a master of my craft, I have a passion for something that I do, maybe I can sell it and make a lifestyle business for myself or make life easier for my family. Others have known that they've wanted to be in business their entire lives. And I don't know where you are in that spectrum. because the journey for everyone is totally different. But what I do know is that along the way, you're going to need community. You're going to need a strong network to help you, whether you're growing your business. You're going to have different needs at that point in time. Tonight, you're going to meet some of the role models who have gone through crowdfunding who are going to be able to talk about life as a startup. And people who use crowdfunding to grow their companies. So we've got a different mix of women to talk about why this works. Did you know that crowdfunding is the only revenue source where women outperform men? It's pretty remarkable. And I started to research this a little bit a few years ago. And the reason for that is because women are amazing storytellers. They're amazing at creating communities and creating businesses that matter to our communities, to our cities, to our economies. And when you put that all together and you market yourself in that way, people listen. There's a vulnerability to women, there's some empathy, there's understanding of what their community needs. The other thing about women that I've learned too is that it's not always about profit. And a line that I heard a lady say that really resonated with me was, for women in business, there's always two bottom lines. There's your company's bottom line, and then there's the bottom line that you have for yourself, for your family. Maybe it's for your parents, maybe you've got elder parents that you're taking care of, but there's always two bottom lines. And that other bottom line is very often the community that's around you. So I'm really excited about Builder Business, and this is the second year that we did it. We launched last year, and when I say that crowdfunding is the only source of financing where women outperform men, what was really cool for us, and I'm going to give an industry average, and I hope Kickstarter doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but when you take a look at their success rating, they have about a 37% success rate in their campaigns. And in crowdfunding, it's generally all or nothing. And this is how this campaign is going to work as well. But that means 37% of those companies are meeting their funding goal. The average in crowdfunding is also about $10,000. However, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. When we launched Builder Business, actually I'm going to take a step back. ATB Booster has got about a 46% success rate. Is that right, Carly, as I'm saying that? 46%. So really showing that we have something very unique here in Alberta it's working here. But the Builder Business last year had an 87% success rate. And when I take a look at why that happened, I think there's a few things. We took a look at every single one of the barriers that women are facing, and we said, how do we break down every single one of them? So access to capital, yes, we gave a platform that allowed people to start working on accessing capital for their companies. 2, we really focused on education through webinars, crowdfunding guides, and helping along the process to say, here's how you run a successful campaign. The third part was we had some amazing role models who stood up, women that said, I'm going to share my journey with other women so that they can learn from what I did. And at the same time, going in as a cohort or a group of women that went through this together, there were some commonalities. There were moments where everything was really great for everyone and things would kind of fall. If you go through this process, you're going to realize that it's an emotional journey. There's highs, there's lows, and there's everything in between. So I'm really excited that this year we're doing another round of Builder Business. But what we did do this year, we were very mindful of the fact that last year we had a competition. And there were some great things that came out of a competition, some great prizing. But by accident, we ended up putting another barrier in front of women when we were the whole time trying to take away the barriers. And that barrier was a competition, because the minute that you only have one winner, it didn't matter suddenly that 87% of women were successful, because it looked like only one was. And that was really disheartening. So we took that back and we said, okay, how do we do it a little bit differently this year? This year, Carly, maybe can you, there we go. You're way ahead of me. It's like you're reading my mind. But as we're working through this access to finance and we're going through the financial capital, the entrepreneurial capital, one of the things that I'm really excited about, and Hannah, who leads our education at ATB, we're doing a special accelerator program for women who go through the Builder Business program. The accelerator program is one of our most competitive startup programs. It's not even a startup program, it's a competitive business program where there's a big application process, and this is what we're bringing to you as part of the Build Her Business, because we want you to be successful, not just in this campaign, but helping you then to take your business and take it to that next level. So that's where we're committing to. So at this point in time, I would love to hand it over to Carly. Carly is our booster manager, ATB Booster. That is the platform that we use. She's going to talk a little bit more about crowdfunding. And we'll have a question period at the end. So after Carly goes, we're going to have a panel with our entrepreneurs, and then everyone will have an opportunity to ask questions. So please welcome Carly Wells. Oh, and sorry, Carly, I just took away your applause.
Okay.
If you're tweeting tonight or you're on social media, we'd love for you to share some of our messages and using the hashtag #BuildHerBusiness. We also have ATB Booster, which is ATB Booster, BOOSTR. Carly, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you. I hope you can hear me, Miles. Awesome. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Carly. I guess, Shannon, you did introduce me. I don't need to say who I am anymore. So how many of you know what crowdfunding is? Okay, cool. This is good. This is good. So crowdfunding is a method of raising funds or capital to finance a new or existing business venture. It's become one of the fastest growing alternatives to financing and lending. And one of the reasons it's become so popular is because you get to tell your story and you get to build a group of ambassadors that come around you all while you're getting funding. And you don't have to walk into the bank for that traditional loan. So there's a few different types of crowdfunding out there. There's equity, debt, donation, as well as rewards. So rewards-based crowdfunding is one of the most popular types of crowdfunding out there. And the reason for that is because you get to pre-sell your product, service, or experience before you spend any of the money that you have. So you're avoiding spending money on a business model that may or may not be successful, so you get to test things in the market, which is really awesome. So here you'll see the flow of crowdfunding. So first thing that's going to happen, you're going to launch your crowdfunding campaign. The crowd is going to boost your campaign. And then if you are successful, then you need to deliver on the rewards that the people purchased from you. So one thing to note about reward-based crowdfunding as well as ATB Booster is that it is typically an all or nothing model. So that means that we give you 30 to 45 days to get your funds. And if you don't get them, you don't get anything. And if you do have to fulfill those rewards. So here we have a really great example of two ladies that did build her business last year, Lumber Jill Apparel. They're two women out of Edmonton, and they found there were some issues with women's outdoor clothing that was functional and fit really well. So they were a brand new business. They decided to test this out in the market and see if there were other women struggling with this. And sure enough, they found out that women were struggling, and they validated their idea and raised almost $13,000 last year. So it was pretty awesome for them. So how do you know if you are fit for crowdfunding? So crowdfunding is great for anybody that is a creator of a unique idea, someone that's looking to validate their business idea, someone that's looking for capital to grow their business. Something that's really important to note, though, that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You need to work very, very hard if you're doing crowdfunding. So Shannon, you did mention that on average, you're only going to raise about $10,000 on most platforms. So that's something to really take into considerations before you launch a crowdfunding campaign. So we do have a few key considerations here. So typically 90% of the businesses are business to consumer. We have had some examples of business to business, Hannah being one of them over there. But so the one thing you do have to know is that you need to have the ability to offer unique rewards that it's going to fit that consumer market. The next thing is marketing and social media skills. This is something that's very important as well if you're going to do a crowdfunding campaign. You need to make sure that you have a very strong social media presence as well as great marketing skills. And if you don't have that right now, that's okay. There's lots of books, YouTube videos, as well as there's courses that we hold here at the Entrepreneur Center that can help you learn how to be stronger in those areas. And then lastly, the biggest thing we talk about is making sure you have that community around you that you can engage with. So whether that be your email lists, people that you have following you on social media, other businesses in the community that you engage with on a regular basis, you need to make sure you have them that can help you get to your goal, because if you don't have that, we can almost guarantee your campaign will not be successful. So how will we be successful? Like I've mentioned, you need to be ready to work very, very hard. You need to be expecting to do something every single day that your campaign is live, whether that be commenting as people boost you, adding new rewards, whatever that looks like for you. We do normally say it takes about 90 days to prepare for a crowdfunding campaign. We are kind of, what do we say, 71 days now, Shannon? Yesterday was 72. So around this time, if you are planning on launching a crowdfunding campaign, you do want to start thinking about who your target audience is, knowing your story and be able to tell it very, very well. That's very important. And then once you hit that 60-day mark, you want to start thinking about what your rewards are going to be, making your video, putting together what your campaign's going to look like, as well as starting to reach out to your crowd and figuring out who all those people are. And then that 30-day mark, you're just going to start warming up that crowd, getting them super excited that your campaign's about to launch. Put a few teasers out there, like this is exclusive for Booster. This is the only place you're going to find this reward. Just get them really excited and amped up for what's about to come. And then after you're done your campaign, you're going to want to make sure you're again thanking people and keeping the buzz up about your business. The other thing, a few tools that we do have, take advantage of our Facebook group, which we will put up here a little bit later. That's a great group for all of you to chat with each other and get to know each other. We also have a crowdfunding guide, which is an awesome tool as well. That's on our Booster site. And then we will be doing bi-weekly calls, and then we also will have our accelerator program to help you through everything. The next really cool thing, if you are a CPG business, then you do have the opportunity to be featured on Blush Lane. So we have a great partnership with them where our successful booster campaigns that have raised $5,000 with a minimum of 50 boosts get the chance to be featured on their shelf for 3 months. So we're doing that in cycles, and if you do really well and can meet all their guidelines, you do have the chance to be permanent on their shelves. So that's something that we're very, very proud of, that relationship with them. So quickly to summarize here, November 19th is when our applications are going to open for Build Her Business on Booster. And then January 10th is when we're going to close and we'll start reviewing your campaigns. And then January 13th to March 13th, the accelerator program with Hannah will start. And our campaigns will launch February 3rd until March 3rd, and we'll just continue that relationship after that.
Okay, ladies, welcome to our Builder Business discussion. And I'm going to just start by asking each of you to introduce who you are and what your business is, and also say why you chose crowdfunding as a viable option for you and your business. Joyce, I'll start with you.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Joyce. I have a background in chemical engineering, but I'm now the founder of Velvet, which makes all natural organic oils for face, hair, and body that feel velvety soft and are probably the best feeling oils you'll ever experience. So gotta try one day. Have some samples.
Okay, so do you want me to, is this going through or?
This is just that's just for like.
Oh, fancy tech.
One job.
Okay. Hello, my name is Hannah Cree. I'm the co-founder of Common Good, and I also lead the entrepreneur education at ATB. And for Common Good, we actually launched, this was before I was ever with ATB, we launched Common Good on the platform, and it's different. We're business to business, so my customers are restaurants, essentially, at the time, but we had not even started. Like, when we launched our business and incorporated, we then basically was the same day we launched our booster campaign. So it was dangerous. But it was a great way to test the market, our messaging, and we wanted to see if our messaging and what we were doing. So we employed people that are facing homelessness and poverty, and we do that through a commercial laundry service that services primarily for us, the restaurants and spas. So why we went on Booster was really to test our market, and we also knew it was their 1-year anniversary and they were going to do some really big things, and we wanted like a year mentorship from like Wellington and Ed Straw, which we got, so it's great. Okay.
I'm Yolanda Spigon Flores, and my company is Casa Flores Cabinetry. We've been in business for 13 years, but I had this idea for a new cabinet line, new brand of cabinets that focused on simplicity. And so, in terms of like, basically what we did is we simplified the materials and the construction so that we could offer cabinets more quickly and more affordably, but still make them custom. And but it's also just the whole brand and the story and everything is around simplicity in your life and all of those other kinds of things. So I had this idea that I've been wanting to launch, and I I knew about Booster. I'd been to the Booster stage before. Actually, I was at the one that Hannah, when she did her Booster stage presentation. And so I kind of had it on my radar for a while, but when I heard about the Build Her Business campaign, I thought it was a really great opportunity to launch my new idea, and it was.
So can we just talk about, for 1 second, how much money you raised on your campaign? And we talked earlier about averages, and there's always going to be an exception to that average. But Yolanda, I think you are a perfect exception.
Yes.
I don't remember the exact amount, but it was just over 66,000.
Yeah, that's a boost breaking records.
That was a record, and I mean that was absolutely amazing. And we talked earlier about crowdfunding working really well for consumer packaged goods, which this is not like consumer packaged goods. Like, so who was your market? Because it was very different than most businesses.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, I mean, I was shocked too. Like, I didn't expect to do that well. And, but, you know, I do, because we're an established business, that really helped quite a bit, because I already knew people that I could talk to, that I could say, hey, you know, we've got this new product that we're offering. And so, you know, your own personal network is really important in Booster.
Hannah, I'm going to go back to you, because really you were a startup, and you kind of mentioned that this was a dangerous strategy for you starting out. But I mean, you have two very successful campaigns in this. From your standpoint, what made yours successful when that was the same day you came out with the business?
I don't know. I think it is around community of why we were successful. I was working in the startup community and building a community for years before we started. So a lot of it is the community. It's not like we had a huge social media following, but we were kind of successful because of that community piece. That's what drove us. But that is every day talking about yourself, your business, and everything you're doing over and over and over and over, where you're like sick of it, but people are just kind of picking up on what you're doing. So like it's a lot of talking about yourself, more than usual.
Joyce, I had the pleasure of meeting you through the ATBX program, and next thing I knew, you were on the platform. So maybe share about how that came to be for you.
So actually, well, I was part of ATBX, and it was Shannon who encouraged me. So we were doing our roundtable session, and then you said, oh, there's a special guest at this ATB booster. I think you should really look into it. And it turned out to be Manjit Minhas. So of course, being someone who watched a lot of Dragon's Den, like I really wanted to get that opportunity, and also help with Blush Lane being an organic market, and our products are organic. It was just a perfect fit.
Carly mentioned earlier, like this is not for the faint of heart. Like you have to be in this every single day, and that can be really challenging. So Yolanda, maybe we'll start with you, because what was it like starting? Like, did you have an immediate boost? Did things drop right away? What was your experience? And talk about really the darker side of this. I hate to use the word darker, but there is a darker side of trying to do this, because it is so emotionally heavy.
Yeah, and like Hannah was saying, like you really have to put yourself out there, and you know, I'm not a person who's like a hey, look at me kind of person, but you do really have to, like, you know, put yourself out here, and it's your idea, right? So if people don't like your idea, it's like almost like you know, you take it personally, right? So but yeah, there's definitely, you know, because there's a period leading up to the campaign, you know, I had people that were interested in the product that basically I was like, okay, when the campaign opens, well actually, because we had a few days before the campaign opened to the public, that we could go live just to our network, right? I don't know if you're doing that again.
Yeah, they are.
So I had, and the whole idea behind it was to kind of build momentum so that when you go public, that you already look like you're successful. So I had a couple of people that, you know, that I had already kind of lined up to do that. But yeah, there was a whole period of time where there was like, you know, nothing, and I was talking to people, and most of that 66,000 came towards the end of the campaign.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's kind of maybe where it's nice to have it as a 30-day, because 45, I think we all would have just been like, whoa, this is a really long process. But I just want to comment on what she was talking about with respect to a few days ahead of time. So you have the option when you're doing a booster campaign to put your campaign live for everyone to see on day one when we go live. Or you can send that link just privately to certain friends and family in your network. And what happens is they have the opportunity to boost you. but you're not live to the whole world. So when you do go live 3 days later, it already looks like you've got some money there. So it's a psychological play on people want to back what they see as being successful. So that's a strategy that we'll talk about as we go through, but that is a great point.
And I think like having a deadline really helps, right? Because like I said, most of that 66,000 came towards the end, and that's because there was a deadline. It's like you have to do this by February 28th, or whatever it was.
Joyce, do you want to talk about what your experience was just being social and being out there every day?
Definitely a little. I'm kind of awkward. I don't really like to put my face in front of people. I don't really like to be on Instagram. Like, I'm not into social media, but it's something that you have to do if you want to get funded. Like, you can't just hide. So Hannah was my mentor too at ATB, and she's like, you have to have some strategy in place, like a social strategy. You can't be posting once every month.
Yeah.
So definitely, it's a good way to really face your fears, especially if you're not used to being in the public eye.
Hannah.
About which part?
Just talk about the being out, being visible every day, and just that it is a commitment.
Yeah, I mean, so look at your calendar and look at every event that is happening during that month and how you can get there or create your own event or go to other things. So be really intentional about that. Make sure that you have a business card, and it doesn't have to have a booster website. Have your website, because you can put a little pixel in that then bounces them to your booster campaign off your website. But like, what's the reward on it? Drive people, have something physical you can give to people like on that spot, or if you have product with you, great. But you know, week one is like you get your first adopters, usually like your mom and people. And those are your like first adopters, and they're there. And then what I discovered is most people, and 3 years ago, and I don't think it's changed much, and I had an entrepreneur community who should really know what crowdfunding is. No one could actually understand what crowdfunding is, and so halfway through we started doing some messaging in our social media like, it's all or nothing. If I don't hit 10 grand, I get nothing. And then people are like, oh, well, we don't want her to fail. You know, like, so they're, you know, they'll give you more money and so on. So a little bit of messaging around the crowdfunding really helped us. Putting ourselves out there, making sure we're at every event, we are giving things to people, we're following up. You're going on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a really underused piece. You're definitely talking to people you may not have wanted to talk to last week or 10 years ago, but they should have your product now. So that's a big one. And then the fourth week is like where everyone kind of comes in and is like, oh yeah, I forgot, I'll do it. Yes, it's the deadline. Most of our money really came on the last couple days. But one thing I discovered, and if you have friends like this, you just got to find them. But I had a whole bunch of friends, like a pocket of them, that were apparently waiting until like the last hour. And whatever I was down, they were throwing in. But they told us this like 20 hours before the campaign was ending, when I'm in tears going, we're never gonna make it. And they're like, oh no, like I'm gonna top you. Like, don't even worry about it. And I was like, I was swearing. And I was just like, why didn't you tell me that at the beginning of the campaign? Or why don't you just throw in money to make it look like, so that like you don't stress out? So you do have these friends that think they're being really nice, but they're actually stressing you out.
So the whole point of rewards-based crowdfunding is actually having a solid rewards program, and this is what people are buying. So when you're thinking about, well, how do I get people to give money to my campaign? Well, you have to give them something in exchange. And ideally, that something in exchange is something to do with your business, because that's testing your pre-sales, it's testing your ideas, it's testing your market. But there is no one strategy that I have seen. It goes all over the board. But I would really like for each of you to take this time to talk about, how did you structure your rewards? Did things have to change? Was there a certain dollar value that made the most sense? You're going to again be the anomaly on this one, Yolanda. But help others understand, like, how important is that reward? And Yolanda, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yeah, like for us, I mean, we were an anomaly because, you know, like ATB not wanting me to like fall flat on my face and fail. We're like, you know, typically this is better for products that are smaller, like products under $100 kind of thing. So do you think that you can come up with some, because cabinetry is like, you know, more expensive, even if it's affordable, it's not going to be less than $100. So you think you can come up with some ideas that are less than $100? And I was like, yeah, I think I can come up with a couple things. And I had some mugs with their logo, and I had some frames and just different little things. And it was good to have those for sure, because the people who weren't, prepared to buy cabinets could still support me, right? So they could still buy a mug or whatever, just to say, hey, I'm supporting you, kind of thing. But really, where the money came from was from the cabinets, because we were able to offer special introductory pricing, because we had worked with our suppliers for them to give us special pricing, so that we could, so it was kind of like an introductory deal was the way that we had structured it.
One of the girls yesterday was talking about FOMO, like fear of missing out is a real thing. So she said we put limited edition on these, and then people were really I don't want to miss out on that. And so maybe to your point, doing that introductory pricing was really important.
And that was, and it was like, if you want this introductory pricing, you have to buy it by February 28th, because after that, it's not available anymore. So that was a real incentive for people.
One thing to keep in mind, you can add rewards at any time, and you can have one or two. You don't have to have a whole bunch, but most importantly, you don't have to go and make 100 t-shirts before you sell them. You can have the reward up there, and then a date of when you'll deliver by. And it could be 4 months from now, or whatever that piece is. So for us, we're 100 shirts, they're so cool. I still think they're cool, but they didn't sell. And they said making good more common, and our common good logo, and but we didn't have them made. We just kind of got a sketch done, threw it up, and 3 were bought, and we just, ran down, got the 3 done. So those are the types, but yeah, around that $100, $200 mark. For us, we had to get really original, because who wants to buy bar towels? So we went to the restaurants, and we went into our community, and we had a couple of restaurants give us gift certificates. We had Trolley 5 give 10 free beer tours worth $100 each. So there was 10, $100 each. Right? There's $1,000, and we didn't even have to put any money out. Village Brewery did the same. Jim Button was awesome with us during the campaign. So getting very in our group, then we discovered I had a lot of entrepreneurs that are following us naturally. And so we needed actually just rewards for my crowd. And I was like, so Work Nicer. Work Nicer, which is a co-working space, was we'll give you 3 memberships, and they're free, but you can collect the $300 each. Well, they were gone in a day, because my friends all do that. So sometimes know your crowd, get some of those rewards in, and then people also can just give you money, which I had a lot of where they didn't even, there's an option where they just, here's $200, I don't care if you give me a reward or not. So those are my tips.
For us, when we were launching the campaign, we were doing it to promote our new products, which were smaller sizes and big sizes. So we really tapped into our own networks, so our existing customers, and did newsletter blasts and telling them, oh, we have smaller sizes now, and we offered them at 30% off. So for people who are already used to our products and getting this discount on it, of course, that was a good source. We also partnered with one of our friends, entrepreneurial friends. They have a cafe called Nosh by Nourish, and they have very similar ethos. So using good high quality ingredients, no fillers, organic, natural, vegan, and they offered some free, for instance, renting out the free space for anyone who wants to book the place, or free brunches. So that was a really good partnership.
Yeah, collaboration.
Was there an aha moment for you through this campaign? It might have come in the beginning, middle, even at the end. Was there something that caught you as an aha moment?
I'm trying to think. There's always aha moments in entrepreneurship.
Or uh-oh.
Yes, lots of uh-oh. Are we ever gonna meet our goal?
Yeah.
I think during pitch night, I think that was one of the most valuable experiences.
You're not going to get pitch night. No, there's
But
no
they're going to
pitch
get an accelerator, which is way better.
Okay, an accelerator, yeah. But I guess for us, just being able to talk to mentors and being exposed to the community, that was really good for helping us refine our pitch, better understand what our product positioning was.
Yeah, do.
I don't know if I really had an aha moment, to be honest.
You're too busy rolling in the money. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's like amazing.
We were like, who is this woman? Like, where is she coming from? Is she legit? Like, anyway, no, that was awesome. What about just even learning something about yourself through this process? Sometimes I speak to entrepreneurs who've gone through this and it brought them out of their shell, or they gained a newfound confidence in themselves and in their products. Was there something personal in this for you about how this experience changed you? Hannah.
I call it the booster hangover. Which is, in a good way, and there's a good and a bad to it, right? First of all, you got to fill all of those rewards. So you get to 10,000, it does not end at the end of the 30 days. But in the other way, it was like you get this huge kind of train behind you of people who believe in you, and they're, and you see the money rolling in, literally, like you're getting the email notifications and all of those pieces. And so for us, it was just like great validation that our story was resonating with people and that we were going down the right path. We got, we happened on the second day. We had news, people covering us. We had other partnerships. I think collaboration is key. I say that competition or collaboration is the new competition. So like, get on other people's newsletter lists, do collaborations with other booster people, the alum. Don't come to me because like napkins are not fun, but they might collaborate and say, hey, here's a discount on my oils and let's do this with a pair of earrings and there's a reward. So for me, it always comes down to community. Like that was
I love that. I
so
heard
good.
someone say co-opetition is the new strategy.
Yeah.
I'm going to close it off with one last question for this group and then we'll open it up to the floor. But if you were to give one bit of advice to women thinking about going through Build Your Business, what would that advice be? And Joyce, I'll start with you.
I think high quality video is pretty crucial. So on Booster, I think what everyone looks at is your video. You want it. Like we got Studio Lumen, who was part of ATB, to do a video. They did an amazing job. So like, if you do like a very budget video that doesn't really, like it has to be like compelling so that people want to support you. And also, I mean, there's a lot more tips, but.
So I did not take my own advice. And my advice would be that really planning and prepping is key. Have a social media schedule planned out for all the content, behind the scenes, all of those pieces, but get your crowd prepped. The other really successful one is Sugared and Spiced, who is also currently in ATBX in Edmonton. We're doing well. And they come into Booster. They also they had a survey, first of all, of anyone hitting their site about how much would you pay for this and what would that look like, and that was happening months before. And then they were developing an email list, and then they were going to the email list and saying, what rewards would you want to see from us? And they were like, we need another cake club. And so the day that they went live, they were over $24,000 because they listened to their crowd, they built it up for beforehand. And then their worst problem was they were trying to figure out how to get more rewards. So they went over, Carly, I can't remember, over 50 grand too, right? So those are the two successful, I think, is listening to your crowd.
I think being out there all the time, which is hard. You have to be doing like the live stories and you just have to be out there all the time, which is hard. And then the other tip I guess I would give is that you really, really have to have your own network around you. Like there's not like a bunch of people out there that are just like boosting all these businesses. It's really key to to have your email list or to have your friends, your family, like anybody that you can think of to.
You need a crowd for crowdfunding.
Yeah, like you need to already have a bit of a crowd.
You do,
Yeah, I agree with that one a lot.
Yeah.